while you're small, this we used to reduce the bird population. We used to kill birds with this, but there's an SME that is utilizing this to make sure that we are having, proper forest cover. We shall be covering that later on, but it's about partnerships. Yeah, partnering one company from the tech sector, linking with the agribusiness sector. And right now from the tech sector, I speak to Mr. Sanjeev Gadia from a company that manufactures drone. And that is quite interesting. If you may just move forward slightly there. You are very keen on partnerships. Tell us the importance of partnerships, especially from a technology company that you are. Right now you're partnering people who are doing, matters touching agriculture and forestry. Tell us the importance of partnerships.
Partnerships is very, very important in the tech business. And when you look at the whole value of partnerships, there is a limitation as to how much you can actually do things by yourself. And when you look at what we are trying to do for the reforestation sector in Kenya, we've partnered up with Seed Balls Kenya. And with the Seed Balls Kenya, we've actually today launched a very major initiative, which is to plant 50 million trees in 2020. Wow. So what we would like to do with Seed Balls Kenya is to embark on a very major journey to actually look at the issue of forest deforestation. And we have a very serious problem in Kenya. And when you look at the Mau forest and some of the challenges that we are actually having, we need to have 15,000 hectares in the Mau forest which need to be reforested, which is something which can take 2 to 3 years. We believe we could actually do this in 3 months.
Wow, that is quite incredible. And you're using technology, you're leveraging on technology. Tech is big, yeah? And let's look, because today is about AMCHAM, yeah? We're talking about US Kenya relations, the SME sector, the technology sector to be specific, because you're playing the technology sector. Do we have an opportunity to export some of our products or some of our technologies to the United States?
Oh, absolutely. Like, for example, in the United States, they don't have a drone reforestation program. So if we make our drone reforestation program successful in Kenya, there's nothing stopping us from actually sharing our technology with the most advanced country in the world, so that we can actually teach them a lesson on how they can plant their forests with seeds which will be thrown from the sky. Yes. So this is an area where Africa is leading the tech journey. When you look at M-Pesa, when you look at some of the interesting things that are actually happening in Africa, if you look at the whole issue of innovation, it's a mother of necessity. Why are we so tech savvy? Is because of the fact that we look at every challenge that we face in our daily lives, and we use technology to now find a way of solving those challenges. And when you look at the reforestation problem we have in Kenya, it's a very serious problem. And the only way we can deal with the reforestation program is by technology. Yes. And what we are planning to do with technology is to plant 50,000 trees a day. This is not possible if you do it manually. We are actually able to do 5,000 acres of trees a day. Wow. And our total objective is to actually plant 50 million trees in 2020. And this is something we can do. And we can actually do in collaboration with the private sector. And we want to make sure that Kenya retains its status as the green city of the world.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, Mr. Gadia, for that information. So there is a lot of partnership opportunities between the tech sector and people dealing with reforestation, because sometimes we tend to think things on linear levels. Yeah, if we are tech, we're just tech. There's a lot of partnership opportunities, and as you can see here, we have a very nice drone, interesting drone that carries seeds. And just to be specific, look at this particular seed, all right? Let me just put it on camera. They look like little balls, all right? Little chalk balls. And just to help us put this into context and how it is helping solve the deforestation problem in the country, I'm joined by Mr. Teddy Kinyanjui, who is running this SME, making sure solving this issue of deforestation in Kenya. Tell us more about this.
So I'm Teddy Kinyanjui from Seed Balls Kenya and Cookswell Jikos. Our family business actually started with energy-saving stoves, but we realized even with an energy-saving stove, we still have to plant more trees for more charcoal. What we found after doing many years of tree planting and reforestation in dryland parts of Kenya was the cost starts to really prohibit large-scale tree planting programs. We used to plant trees with a plastic bag, digging a hole with a djembe. It used to cost about 50 shillings per tree, which was fine when you're doing 3 or 4 4 in your backyard, but if you want to do 3 or 4 million, suddenly that's a whole other issue. So we developed this new technology called seed balls, which, as the word sounds, it's a seed inside of a ball of waste charcoal dust, which protects it from being eaten by mice and birds. That way you can plant the seeds year-round, and just as in nature, it waits until the rain comes, and that has a chance for these trees to start growing. So we actually partner with, so it's a partnership between big companies, SMEs, and of course also the government. We get all of our seeds from KEFRI, the Kenya Forest Research Institute, because they do all the certification, the testing, the viability. We coat them with this waste charcoal dust and are now partnering with innovative companies like Astral Aviation to be able to find out how can you really lower the cost of being able to do vast landscapes and reforest thousands and thousands of acres of trees that we so desperately need to do as soon as possible.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, the cost of planting trees in Kenya is quite high, as you put it, close to 100 bob a tree. And you're planning to reduce that to 5 shillings by the use of technology and you know, all these partnerships that you're having. Now, in terms of taking advantage of bilateral trade relations, for example, with the US, you are an SME.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you look at the SME and you're like, okay, can they now start exporting some of their stuff? Are you looking towards that direction where you can send your stuff over to other countries and, you know, scale up?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, even with the stoves, we already sell them through Europe. We have a retailer in Holland. And with the seed balls, we've been able to sell some to the Congo, some to Tanzania. And I really think as we grow and all of our efforts increase, one of the further sort of goals is not only getting the right type of seed to the right place, but working with KEFRI to promote seed farming. So instead of people cutting down their indigenous trees, if they can collect those seeds and sell them, it helps for a lot of those people in sort of, you know, rural areas have an extra source of income that doesn't involve cutting the tree down for firewood or charcoal. As all of this grows, we'll be able to expand regionally because, as we know, our environment, our ecosystems, our rivers, they don't know borders about Tanzania, Kenya, Sijui. You know, the rain that falls in Uganda might be coming into Kenya and vice versa. So for us, this is a very important thing of looking at how we scale all of this up through our many different partners to be able to make not only a national change, but a regional and eventually global change. Wow. And so we want people to, you know, contact us, get in touch, and let's see how we can really green up not only Kenya, but all of Africa and eventually more of the world.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much, Teddy Kinyanjui.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, seed balls. All right. Now, I want to hand over to my colleague, Brenda, but as I do that, maybe I will throw a seed ball over to you, Brenda.
Oh, wow, Noah. Aren't you having fun with those drones? If only you could fly one, Noah. But you know what else is fun? Kenya having a trade surplus with the United States. Kenya exported goods worth $646 million back in 2018, and it currently has a surplus of about $311 million. I mean, that's a huge deal, of course, because what exactly is Kenya doing right? Because we do know that Kenya actually has a deficit when it comes to developed countries such as the United States. For more insights in relation to this, we are joined by the Chief Executive Officer of Kenya Invest, Moses Zikiara. He should be able to give us more details in relation to this. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, a trade surplus. What exactly is Kenya doing right?
You know, Kenya is a great country in many areas. If you look at the kind of items we are selling to the U.S., like apparels, which are manufactured in export processing zones, and also, if you count even like tourists that are coming in our market, America now has taken the lead in terms of tourists. So what we are doing well is Kenyans are known to be hardworking people. They really push and work even under tough conditions. And to get agreements like the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, which has been able to make it possible for our products to get into the U.S. Quota-free and duty-free for many commodities, that is part of what has contributed to the achievement that we are seeing about trading surplus. We have flowers and many other things that we are selling there.
Before we talk about the specific commodities, there have been quite a number of deals that have been signed so far here at AMCHAM 2019. Talk to us a little bit about them.
I would like to say I can't give at this stage the specific details of the number of deals and all that, because the two countries started the negotiations quite some time back, where the American side expressed some of the areas they would like to invest in, and areas they can do more business with. Then Kenya side also identified areas where we would like to do, better business and trade with the US. So let me say there are more than 25 projects that are in different stages of discussion. And the American side is asking for questions to be completely sure that they are good projects. And on our side, we have been developing them and also identifying areas where our products are having challenges to access the market, so that then we can be able to deal with them. Because you see, there are sometimes you can even face what are called non-tariff barriers. It's not necessarily no duty or anything, but there could be other things that come, like the maybe technical barriers or other challenges that can affect trade. So those are some of the things that are being discussed. At the right stage, when everything has been is finalized, no more questions, everything has been signed and all that, we are going to invite you and give you a detail about what has been achieved. But let me be quick to say, America's USA has been a big and good and important partner for Kenya over the many years. Because if you look at it now, most of the years they have been topping in terms of the foreign direct investment coming into our country. USA, UK, and India have been traditionally the big three in terms of bringing foreign direct investment here. Of course, now over the last couple of years, you have seen other countries like France, like Japan, like China, coming very, very strongly than before. But the US remains a major player as far as investment scene is concerned. So with this kind of meeting, we are sure after everything is done, we are going to be able to announce a very, very big launch and impactful deals.
The U.S. ambassador to Kenya, McCarter, earlier today did emphasize the fact that they want a partnership whereby Kenya will become self-reliant. He emphasized this, he reiterated this quite a number of times. Why do you feel that the U.S. are moving towards this specific sector? And the ambassador did say that, when it comes to debt, Kenya should move in such a way that, it can become self-reliant, to put it bluntly.
Yes. I think I agree with the U.S. ambassador, and he's not the only one. If you look at many countries in Europe, and especially Europe and now America, they don't treat Kenya as a least developed country. It's a developing country that they think is mature enough and strong enough, rather than to have a relationship which is based on aid, getting only aid or overseas development assistance. They would like to have an arrangement where there is a trade. So we enable trade so that we are able to be help to access the American market. And maybe we can also allow theirs not necessarily at the same level, because we are again at a different sizes with them. So this is what he means. And it's something I support, because when you are, is an analogy we hear. Instead of giving somebody fish, teach them how to fish. Teach them and give them the ability to be able to fish. So if we can actually get facility on trade, we can get good arrangements for market access. Our people have the capacity to be able to produce and sell in that market. And once you are doing that, the moment you are able to sell a lot of things in a complex and a high-level economy like the U.S., the capacity building you get in our business people is immense. So it's something I don't mind. The only caveat I would like to recommend to the U.S. government and indeed other development country partners for Kenya is that you need a gradual process of winning the country out of aid, because the ODA plays a key role. For instance, domestic supply capacity is one issue that affects our trade. It is not necessarily actual market access so much. Our ability to supply is a challenge. So if you are able to give a very targeted ODA to remove the obstacles to trade, then you are okay. Yeah, then you are okay. So that's the caveat I would like to make. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Of course, we have been speaking to Moses Ikiara, CEO of KenInvest. Nami Noah, moving away from aid to trade. That is the key takeaway from the AMCHAM 2019 forum. I mean, he did say that, hey, we have been dependent on aid for such a long time, but now we need to move forward. We need to encourage more private enterprises to set up shop, not only here in the country, but also in the United States. We need to secure and bolster trade ties between the two countries. We need to move away from the traditional exports, the apparel, the clothing, the horticulture products, and put more value additions in these specific commodities. And going forward, we need to ensure that foreign investment is apt when it comes to other countries and developed countries, especially in the United States. Noah?
All right, thank you very much, Brenda. Right now, briefly, because time is really flying, I'm going to speak to Mr. Nicholas Nesbitt, who is the chair of the East Africa Business Council. When we speak about Africa trading with the West, for example, there's always a deficit. And it's not to our favor most of the times through this particular, business summit. What are we doing to reduce that deficit?
Well, the opportunity for us to reduce the deficit is quite large. When we look at what Africa has to offer the United States, beyond some of the basics that we're already doing, it's not very significant. What we need to do is look at the geopolitics of what's happening in the world. The costs in China, the costs in India, the costs in other parts of Asia are going through the roof. We are working hard to try and attract the manufacturers and the people who add value in those parts of the world to Africa. Secondly, the other big topic that's being discussed today is the free trade agreement across Africa. That's going to make Africa one big common market. What we are offering American companies in particular, since this is an AMCHAM event, is the opportunity to come to Kenya, to come to East Africa and start their manufacturing and start their distribution bases from here. And from here, take advantage of the free trade agreement and ship their goods across the region.
And lastly, closing up the SME sector, quite a focus on it through this particular summit. What is in it for the SME sector?
SMEs are the backbone of our economy. We have to look after the SMEs. This means that here they get the opportunity to look for partners from the United States who can help them grow their businesses locally or even help them connect to markets in the United States. There are definitely opportunities for financial investment, for moving capacity, that means resources, into this part of the world. And there are huge opportunities for technology transfer as well.
Yes, definitely. So a lot of opportunities for partnerships in there. Thank you very much, Mr. Nesbitt, for speaking to KTN News. All right, so there you have it. A lot of opportunities for the SME sector, taking advantage of the businesses around here. And remember, AMCHAM is going on for the next, of course, today and tomorrow. So a lot of SMEs here, of course, lined up, seeking opportunities to pitch, because we also have investors from America and within. Do you have a nice idea? Did you apply for to come for the summit? Yeah, you can pitch. And you never know, you might get funding for your business, and that might be a life changer for you and also for the economy at large as a country. So there you have it. We had asked you the question on Twitter. What do you think the government and also the SMEs themselves can do, especially to tap on the foreign market? The SMEs that are focused on exporting, and through some of the discussions and interviews that you've had, of course, there is a huge opportunity to take advantage of this space of export, and SMEs can tap into that. And with that said and done, we are coming to the brink of the show because of time. My colleague Brenda Kerubo is on standby at the other end. Brenda, closing up.
No, it has been such a fun experience for the first day. I can't wait to see what is going to happen tomorrow. I mean, very exciting, don't you think so? Maybe tomorrow you will finally be able to fly a drone.
I know. It's super crazy. I asked for the drone.